you just have a good idea of how that works. So the samples, you just verify that's an actual T-Mobile provider, and you're golden. Let's go ahead and skip. So this is the result, right? That same slide that we saw before, where we actually see, oh, hey, there's this phone number resulting in MSC. But now we actually know what it means, right? We can concisely say, I know when I see MSC 206313, this is associated specifically with Denver. So we wanted to talk about number portability a little bit. We got a little ahead of ourselves. We tend to do that because we talk a lot, Nick and I. So we'll go ahead and skip this as well. But this is the result, okay, of the actual queries. So we have dumps from our SQL, right, where we just say, all right, over a period of time, and again, here, this is one of my smaller samples where I was actually able to prove that, okay, we don't need to take samples for a month anymore because an afternoon or an entire day will work, right? And the samples are small, okay? You can look at this and see that I only have 33 count of 8054, right? But it correlates with the numbers that we had pulled long term. So we were able to verify that, yeah, consistently, we're able to pull the same information in a short period of time. So that gives you an idea of, from an attacker's point of view.
I don't know how to use a computer, sorry.
If you need to map the country very quickly, it's not going to take you months. It's not going to take you weeks. It's going to take you days. Okay? So if the providers switch this all up, suddenly you're golden because your software and your skills tell you that it's only going to take a few days to remap the entire United States, and you can still track people.
So, anybody else tired? Yeah? All right. So you know how I feel a little bit.
No, we need to ask the truth, though. Tired? Who's drunk? Yeah, let's get some names. Yeah?
Yeah?
Okay.
All right. Fair enough.
So we can really do the same exact thing, right, but for CNAME. Okay? So this is where it actually gets fun. So we're looking for a specific fish, and it doesn't have to be an organization. It can be a person, right? But we use the same technique. We're not going to go through all those slides again because it's ridiculous. It's the same process. You guys know this by now. It's easy. NPA and XX. Look for the providers. Verify them through HLR. Ensure that the MCC and MNCs are actually what you're supposed to be looking for. Take samples. Ensure those samples are actually valid samples. And then you're done, right? You've got tons and tons of names. We can do this all day. We can back spoof all day. What's really cool, though, is that we can come up with very interesting results. So in a short period of time, we've actually been able to say, hey, let's go check out Cupertino. So as we know, a lot of executives live in Cupertino. And here are their phone numbers. Actually, you won't see the phone numbers, but here they are, essentially. This is our HLR database. We're obviously not going to give you a phone number because we're not jerks. Well, I'm not. But
I am.
That's why he's fun employed, people. So the second entry is Apple Incorporated, right? 46 entries. These are all actual cell phones that belong to management.
And we know they're cell phones, so we know they're not office numbers. We know they're not just, the satellite office to Apple. We know they're cell phone numbers, and they belong to the. And what can we infer from the fact that we know these are cell phone numbers and the caller ID says Apple Computer or Apple Incorporated? It means that the company bought them that number. So we know that now that this is a company-provided cell phone number. This is company property. This isn't a personal number. Now look at this last entry, Kristen A. from Apple. If you did other intelligence gathering, and let's say you were able to identify her in reality, maybe she lived in another city, maybe she commutes to work, you could go dump for cell phone numbers in that city and maybe find a Kristen A in that city, and then maybe you can say, well, I'll assume that that's the same person, right? Now that's her personal number, and maybe her landline number, and this is her company number, and now you're starting to build a profile, starting to invade privacy here, and you start to just gather all this information about somebody. And
well, I got to be honest with you. I got really excited when I saw the first entry on there.
That's old school.
You know why? Old school. So Apple Computer, when they used to allocate phones for their executives back in the day, this is what they ended up with. So I thought I caught a big fish, right? I'm calling the phone number. I'm like, oh man, Steve Jobs, awesome. And the guy picks up the phone and I'm like, Steve? He's like, what? I'm like, oh man, awful. That sucks. I'm like, oh, well, my name's Don. I thought this was Steve's phone number. And, I don't say Steve Jobs, but I'm like, hey, how's it going? So what are you up to? He's like, and he's just kind of like completely stunned, and I can hear kids in the background. It sounds like there's a grill going on or something. And he's like, this is Kevin. I'm like, oh, looking up, is there an executive named Kevin?
Now you don't have to just do this against companies and stuff. For instance, I was on a trip to Disney World, and I was in Epcot Center, and there's a bunch of payphone booths in the England area, and they looked like the Doctor Who booth. And there's real payphones inside of them, and they had numbers on them. And I did a caller ID lookup on that one, and it actually said like Disney code or whatever like that. It was just random. I'm sitting there, and I was like, wow, imagine if you were going through and you just start war dialing or whatever, and imagine if you found these phone booths and you just started calling them. And what's funny about these phone booths, and I know I'm getting on a little tangent, but it's a good story. So people love to take photos in these phone booths, right? I mean, they're the Doctor Who phone booth in England, and you got people from Georgia going to Disney World who have never seen an English phone booth and are like, hey, this is neat. I want my picture taken in it. I watch Doctor Who. And so I sit off in the corner with my girlfriend, who's upset at me right now because she knows what I'm doing. And people they'll all get, their phone booths are right in a row, they'll all get in the phone booths and they'll be hanging out. And I'll use stupid asterisk tricks to make them all ring at the same time. And they'll be like, they'll be standing there, they'll be like, hello? And I'm, it's like, hey, how's it going? You enjoying your Disney vacation? This is Matthew from customer service. How's it going? And they're like, good, I guess. I'm like, if you yell out cock-a-doodle-doo at the top of your lungs, I'll give you $1,000 right now. And, I'm 2 feet away. And somebody starts yelling at the top of their lungs. And I'm like, you know what? I changed my mind. Hang up. True story. My girlfriend hates me for it. Because she at this point, when I first started introducing myself as like Matt from customer service, she literally did one of these like, she goes over to Paris waiting for me to finish up my shenanigans. Anyway, stupid.
So as you can see, very easy to find Nemo.
Or
we can tie it all
call
together,
people
right?
at Disney World.
Yeah.
I'm fun employed for a reason, guys.
So this is very, very concise, right? We've got clear locations now. We know exactly where the city is that you are in, or at least the greater area, right? And we know who you are. So this results in a lot of opportunities for just profile building, right? Now I can start mapping everywhere you go, various times throughout the day. I know when you're at work. I know when you're at home, because they're completely different MSCs.
Dude, you are creepy. You're creeping me out. I don't like it.
Oh, come on. Don't pick on the short guy.
Fine.
But you guys get what this is all about, right? This is simple stuff to understand. What it comes down to is I have information that I shouldn't have. And I'm wasting your time without you even knowing it, right? Because the fact is, this is simple, right? The coolest part about this, I don't need SS7. I don't have to waste any time doing like crazy, insane hacker tricks, right? I love Carson Knoll. He's brilliant. But the fact is, all this stuff requires very little intelligence. If I can figure it out, then so can you guys, right? That's what it comes down to. That's what it comes down to, really. So this is really interesting stuff. It's fun stuff, but it's easy. And that's the problem, because we have this huge hole where now any of us can go out there and start amassing all this data, amassing all this information, gather privacy data on all of us, Oh man, all 50 of my friends are at Blackhat. I proved it online, and they're all standing right next to you, like, oh, okay, that's cool. You just wasted a bunch of money, but whatever. But this is what it's about. You got to just make sure that the information that's out there is information that's actually contained in a relevant way.
It's not GSM baseband fuzzing. It's not ridiculously owning the crypto, like the talk that was right before us by Karsten. But it's still pretty neat stuff, and I hope you guys are enjoying it.
It's fun, and that's what it's all about, right?
Thank you. That means a lot coming from you.
Excellent.
It really does.
Mostly just because of your hairstyle. That's cool. I can't pull that off. So here's where it gets interesting, right? Because before we just had this opaque, random place, right? Where I know that, okay, you're in the middle of Denver somewhere. Yeah, that's great. I don't know where the hell you are. But now we can actually define bounding boxes, which allows me some granularity for the location data, right? So now I know if you're traveling from one MSC that's adjacent to another, okay, this is cool because I can say, all right, I now can kind of plot what the MSC looks like. I can plot what the adjacent MSC looks like, and the MSCs around them. And if you're traveling, and I know you're traveling, I can actually predict where you're going to be. Now we have a little bit of location granularity. I can say, all right, in Denver we've got Interstate I-70, okay? I-70 travels east and west, almost straight through the middle of Denver. What's great about that is it's obviously traveling through multiple MSCs. So if I want to, during the day when people are traveling to and from work, they're using I-25 or I-70, I can watch them traveling down I-75 or I-70 and say, oh, they're in Aurora. Oh, they're in Denver. Oh, they're in Golden. Hey, watch that. That's really cool. I can actually see somebody traveling home to their house, you know? And that's really cool stuff, because when you start plotting this out and you put it on a map, you're using KML from Google, you're integrating it into these, you know, maps online, and you're saying, now I know Nick is driving. I know he's driving on this particular road because he's going at this speed, this is how he's traversing MSCs, and I can guarantee that I can predict exactly where he's going to be in the next 30 minutes. And that's a hell of a lot scarier than one big opaque blob in the center of the map where I don't know anything about what you are, where you are, or anything of that nature.
And the further away we get from the data we collect, obviously the lower the confidence of the information. I mean, we might not be totally accurate. We might not be always 100% accurate on these inferences, but we can get really close. And again, you know, as civilians, if we can get really close and this level of data, this importance of data that's personal to you, that's good enough. You know, it's one of those things where even if you're only 70% accurate, it's still pretty dangerous. You still shouldn't be able to do something like this. And this is a really good example of how we're bringing together all of these different things that we've been talking about to kind of culminate into this next slide, which I already went to.
So here's actually where it gets funny. Okay, this is hilarious actually to me. Okay, so you know CNAME. You know it's got names of individuals in there, right? So white pages is really, really nice, okay?
They are
and
awesome.
The normal white pages, right? Your regular landline white pages. What's great about this is these guys actually decided to put this all online for you for free. So how nice is that for us? Because not only do I know what house a particular individual now lives in, but they were kind enough to go out and take the trouble of plotting geolocation for every house that they actually have an address for. So instead of me plotting out on my map, oh, here's, you know, 415 Brook Street or whatever, and then meh, on my Google map, now I actually have geolocation, so I can build KML files based on this data. So what's really cool...
Oh, hey, look at that. Information leakage. What is that?
Whoa.
What was that email? Awesome. I love spam. That's nice. Hey, probably should pull this out before I started my talk.
I just kind of assumed it was like TMZ or something. I heard about Megan Fox.
Yeah, they're already on it. I'm already getting to interview
Blackhat's that hot. So this is great stuff, right? Because I can take the names that I get from CNAME, right? Extract them, first name, last name. I plug it into white pages. Hey, for Denver, you know, in Colorado, with this last name, first name, what results do I get? And you actually get pretty good results. And what's really cool is you can start building bounding boxes with those results. As I said, we're getting geolocation data, right? We're getting latitude and longitude with a lot of these records back. So if I know that you are living in an area of a specific MSC, now I can say, all right, this geolocation in the MSC, this geolocation in the MSC, this one outside, okay? And you start to plot it, and you can figure out, oh, excellent. Now I have an actual map of what this